Why is an Amazon affiliate site useful? That's what we're going to talk about today. A couple questions were sent in over the last week, and it's kind of a common question that I see around anyway. So, I'm Doug Cunnington. I'm the founder of Niche Site Project. I have some of these YouTube videos about Amazon affiliate sites, and I also have some videos on project management and productivity. So, I think hopefully we'll have a few people on, although I don't see any folks just yet. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, some notifications went out. But today we're going to go over a couple questions. I put a few links in the description. One of them is a way for you to submit questions. So this question was submitted via my Google form. So if you follow that link in the description, you'll be able to get to it. So you should definitely, if you have a question about Amazon affiliate marketing or project management, you can submit the question and I'll put them into the queue for the Friday Q&A. So that's the other link in the description. I see a couple of people are joining up, which is a good thing. I'm going to try a slightly different format today, is where I sort of launch into the content right away, and then I'll sort of circle back, chat with some folks in the chat. If you are in the chat, let me know if you could hear me or not. So the question is, why would someone even look at my affiliate site when they could go directly to Amazon? So that's a really good question, because sometimes people feel like, no one's going to go to my site. No one cares if I have an Amazon affiliate site. In fact, I remember when I first learned about just niche sites in general and affiliate marketing, I was telling my wife about these kinds of sites. And I think we were just like sort of going back and forth. She was just like, why would someone look at your site? You don't even know that much about, the niche or the product or anything like that. And I didn't really have a great answer at the time, other than I listened to Pat Flynn on Smart Passive Income, and he said he has these sites and he seems like a good dude. So I thought it was a viable option. But I could tell you, in the last couple weeks, I've actually gone to Amazon affiliate sites to get information about certain products. So here is the scenario. So the question is, why would someone go to your affiliate site with reviews when they could just go straight to Amazon? So I was looking up external hard drives a couple weeks ago. There's a lot of excuse me, there's a lot of external hard drives on Amazon. If you just like search for external hard drive, there are thousands of them. It's very overwhelming and it's hard to narrow it down. Hold on one second. Georgie, my dog, is sort of making a lot of noise here. So the thing is, there are too many choices if you just look for a product and maybe you don't know that much about them. Or I know a decent amount about hard drives, but I was having a really hard time narrowing it down and choosing like which hard drive I needed. There are a lot of options out there. Okay, there are a lot of options out there for a lot of different products, and basically it's super confusing. And I know a few things about hard drives. I kind of had an idea what I was looking for, but it's kind of hard to sort if you don't know all the different specs that maybe you need to know about to look for hard drives. So I knew I wanted a, roughly 1 terabyte. I wanted it to be fairly fast and for video. The thing is, thousands of choices on Amazon is way too many to go through. But if I, would search for it, I could land on an Amazon affiliate site or Amazon affiliate type content. Maybe it was a video on YouTube, and people would explain what was good or bad. And it really helped it narrow it down from like, thousands of options to maybe just a handful, where I knew, okay, here are a couple brands I'm interested in, and here are a couple models that fit the price range. So all of a sudden, I whittled it down in a much faster way than trying to figure out what to look at on Amazon. The other part, depending on the product line, hard drives fall into this area. There are like different models that come out over a couple years. So hard drives are not moving as quickly as, say, digital cameras or something like that, where new models come out all the time. But they'll make a little bit of progress with like new technology or new processors or something like that, new memory, different materials, something where you may be looking at older models that are cheaper and you don't really know what you're comparing because you don't have enough information based on the description in Amazon. So that is the main thing. And I can give you other examples. When I was looking for like a little action camera, which I have right here, there's GoPro, but then there are a bunch of other cheaper versions out there too. Some of them are really terrible, some of them are okay. It's hard to tell on Amazon because you may be looking at reviews on Amazon where the person's expectations were way out of line. So if they bought a $25 action camera and thought it was going to be like a GoPro, they're going to be disappointed. But if you were getting an action camera for $25 for your 10-year-old, maybe that's okay. They don't need super high quality. They need something that's not too expensive. So that is a couple of the main reasons. And I see a couple people in the chat here. In the related secondary question is, if someone follows my link to Amazon and buys the product, why would they need my site for any future purchasing? Why wouldn't they bypass the middleman and go directly to Amazon? So there are obviously, a couple of questions in there. The first thing is, why would they need your site for future purchasing? They probably won't, unless you happen to have like other products that you review and they happen to search for it and then end up on your site again. But in general, the Amazon affiliate model is based on a visitor like going to your site one or two times while they're researching, and then they probably won't go back to your site again. They make the purchase and they move on. However, there are so many people in the world that it's okay. You don't need them to make multiple purchases. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, it's much easier to work with an existing customer than, finding a new one. And that's true. However, they're not truly our customer. We're an affiliate for Amazon. So they're Amazon's customer and Amazon markets to them again, and they make future sales. We do not. There are certain business models of affiliate marketing where you may have that ability to resell to a person, but is a different business model that generally I tell people, don't worry about an email list in like future marketing if you are just focusing on Amazon affiliate stuff. So that is the main idea. You don't need them. You don't need to resell them multiple things. And then the other part is, why wouldn't they bypass the middleman and go directly to Amazon? And basically my previous answer fills that question. So they could go directly to Amazon, but sometimes they need a curated source of products because there are too many out there. All right. So those are the main ideas. And I'm going to head over to the chat. Tried a little bit different format today. We're going to see how it works. And I'll explain that in a second. I'm going to say hello to everyone. We have Sean, we have Ann, and welcome. It's the first time to catch one of the live streams, so that's really cool. Welcome. Khalik from Singapore, who's up late. We have Success Roller Coaster, Hamas, Jiren, what's up? Chris, am I answering questions today? I'm answering questions related to like what I'm talking about. However, there's a link in the description in which you can submit your question for Friday. Additionally, there's a link for the live stream on Friday. So I try and keep these a little tighter on Wednesday if I can. It usually goes out of control. People like to ask questions. I like to answer them. So it digresses to that at the end. But let's ask questions more related. It's kind of general today, but if you could ask about the topic, that's preferred. Random Review says, how did I become so bald? All right. Random Reviews. I think that could be, this could be a troll. So I'm just going to ignore you for now. Justin, what's going on? John is on as well. And Sharon is on too. So, a couple cool things, just a quick announcement. So, I chatted with Alex from WP Eagle early today. I'm not sure if he's doing his live stream today or not, but he and I have like a really cool set of videos that we're working on. They're going to be coming out in a few weeks. So do keep an eye on that. Let me know in the chat or in the comments if you are a fan of Alex Cooper over at WP Eagle. We've been working together a lot. All right. Hamas is asking a question about the sandbox. So the Google sandbox, um, basically, to get your site out of the sandbox, you need to start your site and then do stuff for about 6 months, and then it's out of the sandbox. Are there ways to maybe get around it? Yeah, basically build links and write a lot of content, and that's how you can get it out faster. So if you're looking for an easy way, there is not one. There's some things that maybe could help it, but basically they're all around like getting links and then getting traffic, hopefully through those links. But the easiest way is to start a site, work on it for 6 months, and then it'll be out of the sandbox. 6 months is not really that long. All right. So I guess that is pretty. Oh, it looks like random reviews is a troll. We don't have our kind moderators today. Let's see here. So we'll report that. We'll say it's that. And boom. All right. See you later. All right. Any questions? I was going to say, I think that, hold on a second here. And I think that's kind of weird. Okay. Yeah, for some reason or another, we don't have as many people on, and a lot of times it could be the notifications that are sent out or not sent out. Oftentimes, that is a thing. Huh. Okay. If you have questions, I'll direct you, and it's totally unrelated to what we're talking about today. I would direct you to the bit.ly link in the description where you could submit questions. I'll quickly answer your question now as they come through, even if they're not related. It's a broad topic today. I totally understand. So Adam says, what's my take on optimizing page speed and load times? Can you be more specific? I would say doing that is a really good idea. You don't want to have a very slow site, but yeah, do it. But I'm not sure what you're asking. So can you be more specific? Hama says you have some no follow links and you were out of the sandbox in 25 days. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, you can do that. But what do you, when you say out of the sandbox, are you, I think that's great. I think, there's probably some randomness out there. I would actually question whether you actually got out of the sandbox or if you just have a few things ranking. So what's like your threshold for the sandbox? Are you like ranking for terms that get like 5,000 searches per month? Are you ranking like number 2 and 3? Are you like really out of the sandbox? Emetic says, should I create multiple sites for different niches or have them all on one? I would say you shouldn't do either. You should probably just focus on one niche and have it on one side, of course. The thing is, if you're asking that question, it means you're probably a beginner. And if you try to put a bunch of different niches on one site, you'll probably sort of be overwhelmed and spread too thin. So I would recommend you maybe if you really want to do that, you should probably like have a single site and just focus on one or two niches at first and then expand as you need to. Okay. Adam says, how important is it for you to have an as optimized load time as possible in terms of time spent on acquiring it? Okay. So I'll answer in a roundabout way. I think you should, if you're just starting, you should probably aim for like load times of, say 3 to 4 seconds or so. Don't don't quote me on this, right? Which is hard since I'm making a video about it that'll just stay up for a long time. So the point is you don't want it to be really slow, but 3 or 4 seconds when you're just starting is probably okay. Um, Ideally, if you can just have it loading under 3 seconds, you're probably fine. And you can do that with like shared hosting, by the way. Once you start getting more traffic, the load on your site on the server will be greater. And I would aim for, 1 second load times or so for most of your posts. Sometimes you're going to have posts that are really long. Maybe you embed a couple YouTube videos. Maybe you have a couple larger images that are needed, right? Maybe you could justify having those larger images. But if you could have it loading in a sufficient amount of time, like 1 second, that's really fast. That's faster than most sites. And if most of your pages are loading in that time, that's really fast. As far as spending, as fast as possible, that's not really worthwhile. Like, should you spend should you spend like a week trying to get your site to load like from 1.2 seconds down to 1 second? No, that's not really worth your time. So as long as it's like loading fast, that's pretty good. I think there's probably some rankings impact when you have a very slow site, but I don't think like if you have a site that loads in, you know, half a second, I don't think you're going to be ranked higher than one that's like loading in a second just because you're faster. So you just want to have a good user experience overall. Hope that makes sense, Adam. All right. Hi says, is the SEO tagging on WordPress pages worth doing, or should you ignore that? When you say SEO tagging, what do you actually mean? Okay. And then, okay. So Hamas apparently did um, some testing, he says, and he mentions that you did no follow comments and you were out of the sandbox in 25 days. You're ranking on page one for a few terms. Excellent. That sounds fantastic. Keep up the good work. Basically, that's what we do in Five Figure Niche Site. There's a few other things in there too, and a few other things that I'm looking at based on information that I've gotten from some viewers. Graham says, hey, Doug. Graham, good to see you on. Can I talk about the importance of patience when building sites? You find that a lot of people quit a few months in because they don't understand the timeline. Patience is really important, probably in any kind of anything, right? It's just generally important. For niche sites, I think people are impatient, like you're saying, so they'll quit pretty fast. And then the big issue is they are probably not always, but they are probably learning from multiple different sources, and they're trying like little things. They're testing things that maybe the timeline to test something to get the results on it is like 4 months, and they decide it doesn't work after 2.5 or 3 months. And it's like if you just waited a little bit longer. In fact, a few of my friends, they started and they basically quit their first niche site, and then they checked like 6 months later. They were getting traffic. This was around the retail season. They were getting traffic, made like $400 in December. And then they were like, oh, this works. I need to go back. And they went back and figured out how to do things better. So The thing is, I believe a relevant timeline would be, you know, plan on spending like 6 months where you're gonna get very little traffic. You'll probably do a lot of work, and, like, the more work you do in the first 6 months, like, the more growth you'll see after that. And, Graham, I know you're in a position right now where you, like, did a bunch of work and you started to, like, see some traction and, like, things are growing really fast for you now. And, 8 to 12 months, right? That's where you could see, like, sort of exponential growth. It'll top out at some point, right? But the more work you do, it ends up, the more work you do on the front end, like, you get the impact later. All right. It's a good question, Graham. Rainbow Shopping says you're working around linking all your sites to shopping online, but you've got no professional input, just mainly browsing on YouTube and Google. Cool. Interesting. CEDIC says you began posting KGR in an old domain, but when it's indexed, it's not showing with all in title, which leads me to believe either it's penalized or got back in the sandbox, which is unlikely. Why do you say it's unlikely? I was going to say, I think Google understands, like, um, if you have like an expired domain or a domain that hasn't had much activity in recent times, like, I'm pretty sure you go back to the sandbox. I haven't like tested that extensively, but basically I've heard from a lot of people who they thought they were going to bypass the sandbox, but really they just paid a lot for a domain where nothing was posted for years. So I think Google can tell nothing was done. I think if you have an existing blog, right? If you have an existing blog that has had, traffic and people publishing content on it, and then you start there, that's probably pretty useful. But it could also be penalized. And you said it was an old domain, but not necessarily an expired domain. So that could have an impact. Hi says you've seen an option in the page settings for tagging. You're wondering if a page title is pretty much all you should cover when doing KGR. Well, you don't need to worry about tagging. Tagging and categories are really just for you. And, like, if you want to do some stuff with your theme, I believe that there's okay. And then you make another statement that says you're wondering if the page title is pretty much all you should cover when doing the KGR. Not really, right? There's a lot of stuff you have to consider for on page SEO. The title pretty much covers it for the KGR aspect, but to just say all you have to worry about is the title is a little bit inaccurate. But you don't need to worry about tags, right? Don't worry about tags. It doesn't matter. Mr. Bynum, what's up? So the question is, it looks like best type keywords are competitive. On my sites, are most of the KGR terms informational that have links or strictly buyers keywords? It's a blend of the two. It's mostly, right? It's mostly product reviews by, you know, a small fraction. They will be more competitive, and it is fine to have an informational post. Like, if you have informational posts, feel free to put your affiliate links in there too. And Graham, yeah, good question. I know it was a Fed question for me, so I appreciate that. And I was going to say, like, and Graham, you did a perfect job, like, pushing through. And by the way, I know you have news. I don't know if you want to share here or if it's inappropriate or whatever, but feel free if you want to mention it here. I think it's cool. Um, John says, "How about a 5-year-old site that hasn't had anything done?" So, John, are you saying like you just purchased a dome or it's a domain that's just been sitting and no activity? I would have a feeling that it's probably going to start in the sandbox. I would say test it. I haven't done this. However, if it was that easy, I think, like, If it was that easy, people would just buy like old domains that have been just sitting from, people squatting on domains. Now, if you bought like a blog that was out there for 5 years, then that would probably work fast. All right, Chris says you submitted your question through Bitly. Okay, let's see what you have, and I'll probably talk about it on. I'll probably put it in the list for Friday, but I'll take a look. All right, yeah, that's super long, so I can't read it right now. Um, hmm. Although I'm trying to read it while other questions are coming in, but or sorry, Chris, is it all right if I hold it until till Friday? Oh, sorry, I just got I just got to the end of the question. Uh, so the idea of the question is you have content for, it sounds like, high volume search terms, and you're ranking on page 5. Um, and you're adding more content like I recommend. And whenever you go back and add more information, you move up. So you're ranking for major keywords on similar topics, and you have posts that are ranking for large keyword volumes. Would I combine the post and try to go from page 2 to page 1? Um, so you're ranking 10 to 11 on each of the posts, and on the broad general term, you're ranking 14th. Would I combine them into a fatty post, or what do I recommend? So, Chris, the thing is, um, there's no right answer. Can you just need to test, right? However you could serve the visitor best is the way to do it. If you want to, I don't mention this often, folks, but if you need one-on-one coaching, I do one-on-one coaching. I don't mention it too often because a lot of times people aren't in a position to actually like get the help from me because they're not ready yet. But Chris, it sounds like you are, based on your question. So if you need like me to actually answer your question, I'd have to look at it a little bit deeper. So Chris, let me know. Obviously, I have your email address in the form. So let me know if you want to set something up and we can look at it. But basically, you have to test. There's no like easy way to figure it out. Like Google gives you signs based on how it's ranking. This is all related to like keyword cannibalization. So next. Okay. And John mentions you had a 5-year-old site that has just been sitting. Yeah, I have a feeling it'll just go. I think it just starts whenever you start publishing. I think that's when the sandbox starts. That's my guess. Hamas says, now you're facing backlinks indexing issue. What should you use for indexing it? I wouldn't worry about it. I would just get more links. I mean, if you have to force the indexing, it means it's probably not a good link. So I've never done any sort of indexing. The only people that I know that do indexing are doing some sort of gray hat stuff where they have links that wouldn't normally be picked up. So if you have to force indexing, it's probably not a great link, is my guess. Cedic says, so if it is not showing all in title because it's penalized, or did it happen to you because of the sandbox? Also, the site gets about 10 visitors a day, but it did lose some rankings in the past. Okay, so I'll just answer the questions through what we have here. Since they are just general questions, please just submit them to the bit.ly link. I'll go through the ones that are asked so far, but I have a lot of work to do today, so I'm gonna try and get out of here since we're just asking random questions. Okay, so CEDIC, I have no idea about the penalization, but if you just go to the search console and like put your site on the search console, you can find out if it's penalized or not. I've never had an issue with all entitled not showing. If you are, then I'm not sure what the problem is. It could be, the site is in the sandbox and you just have to wait it out. If you get 10 visits a day, that doesn't mean you're out of the sandbox. So yeah, I don't know. I would say keep moving forward. Tima says you used an expired domain when you checked Moz's Open Site Explorer. It was spammy. Now, after 6 months, it's not indexed, although you've written a couple 5,000 word blog posts. All right. It doesn't look like there's a question there. So I'll just keep moving on. Hamas says you've used a money site for the purpose. You paste all the links into a new post, fetch them in Webmaster Tools, but that is not the efficient way to index the links. Yeah, again, I wouldn't worry about it. Rainbow says, is it practical to buy rankings from SEO experts, or is it better to do it manually? Type the keywords into the content. I would say if those are your only two options, I would do neither. I would definitely not buy rankings from SEO experts. Those are some of the worst people to get SEO work done from. D card is up. What's up? Rose is on also. Yokohama didn't know there was a live stream tonight. Yeah, and I am doing a poor job scheduling them. I've tried to mention it. Maybe I'll do a live stream later today where I just say this, but um, I'm in a planning period right now. So I did tons of work on YouTube in really the last year, but the last 4 months, like pretty heavily. And basically, YouTube is like a treadmill of producing content. And as I am, getting the results back of like how well things are working, I need to spend more time writing and doing blog content. So there's a lot of activity here, but there's a lot of people that, they're not signing up for the email list. They're not they're not buying any of my products, right? So like I need to have an ROI on this. I'm not, I hope everyone knows I'm not just interested in making money, but if I'm spending time on something, which is all very limited for all of us, I need to make sure that it's working how I expect it. And I'm doing a little planning right now. Like I said, I have some great stuff coming up with Alex at WP Eagle. So keep an eye out for that. I'm not sure if he's doing a live stream today, but be sure to, check out his channel to see if he is. I think on Wednesday he has been doing a lot. But anyway, I have I'm publishing a little bit less. I'm hoping to pick it back up more in the future. But as a project manager, I'm like, okay, I have to slow down so I could go faster later. So I'm slowing down so I could plan a little bit more into the future. So I'm not, like I said, sort of on a treadmill of producing content where, it's interesting for a few weeks and then no one pays attention to it. I hope that makes sense. But Yokohama Life, glad to have you on. I know it's late there. Justin says, do I trust SEMrush with their backlink checker? I trust the links that they have, but it's not as thorough as, say, Ahrefs. Wesley, welcome. You're late, but you're going to watch the replay. You know what? I wonder if the notifications come out a little bit funny, and like this is the way I understand it, the more like I say go live or put out a video and have people watch it, I think YouTube sends out some emails sometimes to some people if you watch my content and you don't have the notifications on. It doesn't always do it. And I think like the more live streams I do and the more notifications and the more people watch, like the more notifications they'll send out. So again, it's like the treadmill of content, but if it's not having the impact that I like needed to have, then I have to make sure I'm doing things in a surgical way, I guess. All right. Super. Okay. And Tima says, my question is why and what can I do? Um, okay. So, and I'll go back to the question. So, you used an expired domain. It was spammy when you got it. Now, after 6 months, it's not indexed, and you've written a couple 5,000 word posts. Your question is, why is it not indexed? Because, well, you answered it in your question. It was a spammy expired domain. So that is what happens if you do that. So I would avoid expired domains. If you want to build on an existing domain, I would say buy a blog that's out there. Um, and you can check, right? Tima, you could check in the search console, see if it's penalized, and then you could disavow the bad links. So that is what I would do if you are set on using that domain. You could disavow all the old links that you don't want on there, but it still may not be something that works. And I'll get through all the questions and then I'm going to shut her down. Don't forget on Friday I do have the general Q&A where anything goes. I will literally answer the same questions over and over again, which generally does happen on Friday. However, I prefer if you submit your questions in the bit.ly link. If you can ahead of time, I'll give you a shout out. I'll be able to put your question in the description and it just, it makes it a little bit cleaner. All right. Super says you made a KGR article, Google indexed it, and it's on page 19. Is that normal? Sort of. It's hard to say. So there are many factors, but I would say that's generally okay. I would say if you went like a little faster, like quicker results, look for stuff with a search volume of like 10 or 20. That's going to rank a little bit better than 250. And John says you're hoping it doesn't discourage you and stop the videos. I think I just there it you know what? It didn't discourage me, but I'm definitely gonna slow down on the videos. There's certain pieces of, like, doing the videos that are really fun, and then there are other pieces that are less fun, and, like, writing can be a much more interesting, like, thing for me to do. And it doesn't mean I can't like take what I've written and then make a good video out of it. But a lot of the here's the thing, John, like you're more advanced. There's some people on here that are more advanced. There's actually a number of students on here. And if I'm doing content, I'd prefer to like create it for students where there's like a baseline set of knowledge. There's like a set of professionalism that we're all sort of operating on. And it's like a higher standard of everything. And that's what I prefer doing. I had Troll in here earlier, which is, less fun. And yeah, so it's a little bit if I could cut the fat, like that'd be real cool. But yes, it's not like discouraging. It's just like, oh, where do I need to spend my time? Probably not on as many videos. All right, Rose says you have no buy buttons under your image affiliate link. Will it be obvious for the reader to click on it? Um Sounds like no. I think if you have to ask, the answer is no. Zach, what's up? Good to have you on. Um, Zach, what's the best way to check if you're ranking for keywords according to SEMrush? Not SEMrush. That is a different sort of tool. I use serplab.co.uk. And cool. Yokohama is going to submit some questions. Yeah. And if you submit the questions, I will definitely answer them. So that is totally the preferred way. The live stuff is cool as well, but All right, and then I'm almost done here. Fazil says Amazon affiliate site is helpful in what context, Doug? Rewind the video and then you can see the full, like more thought out answer. But basically, it can help a user curate like all the massive number of choices on Amazon. So I was looking for um, an action camera, and there's a lot of action cameras on Amazon. So I wanted to have a curated list. It makes sense to go to an Amazon affiliate site. So it can be helpful. Someone is saying it's Sindana. You wrote 14 KGR pieces of content and some keywords are in the top 100, but on Bing you rank number for most posts. Number what? Do I think it's the sandbox effect? I don't know. It depends on how old your site is. Out of the 14, you rank number one. Okay. A little confused about the question. It seems like there are some words missing, but I would say that it could be the sandbox. You know, since you're asking about it, that tells me maybe your site's under 6 months old, but also things take time. We don't know how long the posts have been out. It could take like several weeks or a few months for the post to move up. You're asking, should you build backlinks? Probably yes. Lance says, do I have a simple course for cheap that you could start with? No, money is really tight. I don't have anything that is cheap, but I have a tremendous amount of free stuff. Lance, I totally understand. I didn't buy any courses when I got started because money was tight as well. You don't need courses, all right? So you can, I'm actually, one of the things that I'm writing that I'm trying to get off this live stream, basically, I'm redoing a lot of the like Amazon affiliate process, the niche site process that I have on my site to be like, I guess, more compartmentalized. So it's a little easier to follow because it's not easy to follow right now. And I realize that. So, Lance, the point is you can get tons of information on YouTube. If YouTube is your thing, you're watching this, so I assume it is. So if you have any question about Amazon, I probably have already answered it. All you have to do is go to my channel and like search in the search bar. In fact, maybe I'll do a video on that because I've answered almost all the questions that that pop up. I've already answered them before, which is totally okay. Slightly less exciting for me, but that is the bed that I have made. But the point is, you can type in your question, and usually there's a video on it already. For example, here's a perfect example. Zach says, how do you check if you're ranking for keywords? I published a video on that on Monday. So like, if you just said, how do you check your ranking for keywords? Boom, it would have popped up, just published on Monday. So serplab.co.uk. All right. So Lance, sorry, I don't have anything. I would prefer to give my stuff away for free than to charge a cheap price. There's several reasons for that, but I'll just leave it at that. Oh yeah, John says, you totally understand, believe it or not, I help all of you tremendously. Oh, that's really cool. Thanks for saying it. Rose says you'll add the Amazon button. Hey, I didn't say to add the button, right? I don't like affiliate links on the image. I have a couple, but turns out I just like text links. I don't use buttons. But if you want to add a button, that is totally cool. All right. And I'm just going to answer these quick and stop rambling on like I do. All right. So we're starting to wrap up, everybody. So if you have future questions, really sorry, I'm in a jet. Feel free to submit them for the Q&A on Friday, 10 a.m., same time, same place. There's a link for that Q&A. Please do hit the reminders. And if you haven't, I don't mention this really hardly at all. If you are a subscriber and you click like the bell, then you'll get notifications whenever I put out videos. So if you like these and you want to make sure you do get the notifications, if you click the bell, That's how you get them. So just quick note, I don't talk about that too much because it can be distracting for some people. But if you want to get the notifications, the bell, click the bell. All right. Since you started to add Amazon products, now you're ranking for product name Amazon. Is that bad? Not that I know of. Amar says for a 1,000 word article, what should the keyword density be? Go research your competition, see what their keyword density is, and then aim for the average. And Wesley says, think of buying courses like this. It's like going to Disneyland and buying the fast pass. Everyone can get on the ride eventually, but the fast pass gets there first. And it's the interesting part is there's a lot of information out there, but the order in which you do it is really important. And to be able to reach out to me and like get a thorough answer on something is also very important. So if you have a question like, hey, I found these keywords, I would like feedback on it. You could actually get that sort of feedback. Or like Chris's question, where it's like a very specific example. Like I can't answer it effectively in this sort of format. However, if I go audit your site, well, that's pretty valuable. Thanks, Wesley. That is a good point. Neil says, without backlinks, only KGR will be good enough for Google ranking. I'm not sure. There's a lot of stuff out there. Super says, do I show any of my sites? I do not. I was just talking about Alex or talking to Alex this morning about this topic and just the negative SEO that's out there is serious. So I know people often say it doesn't work. I used to say that, but it does indeed work. And you're asking about the income school KGR interview. I need to reach out and get some stuff planned with them, but we don't have anything set yet. Yeah, Lance, and you say there's so much stuff, you're overwhelmed. You wish there was a simple how to video from A to Z to follow and get some results. And basically, that is what the course is. So there's two main things in the course, and it's really like the step by step of what's important, omitting what is not important, and then the support. The support is probably the biggest thing. Graham says, how long have I been growing the stash and goatee? You know how to keep me on, buddy. So just a couple days, maybe like 3-4 days, and I'll probably shave it in a day or two. I was just trying to shave yesterday, and I was like, I'm kind of in a hurry. Like, so I just skipped some. When my wife got home, she was like, so what's going on with this goatee thing here? So yeah, I'll probably cut it pretty soon here. Mohammed says, could you give me advice as a beginner on how to start? Get started today. Just do it as soon as possible. Like I said, go to the search bar. Any question you have, go to the search bar on YouTube, on my channel, and there's probably a Q&A on it already. Oh, and Tima says, you admire how you're putting yourself out there. Anything could happen live. You like blogging more. See, the thing is, like, I think it was the beginning of 2017. I started doing more of these live streams. And yeah, I was so nervous at first, but after you do so many of them, it just becomes a little bit more fluid. So I think, like when the trolls show up, I used to probably freak out a lot more, but now I'm just a little bit more proficient with kicking people out. And, with the zero tolerance policy, it's easy. I'd rather, just make it zero tolerance. Okay. And last one. Throlf says, you'd be interested in what Super asked, a sort of proof like showcase. You've been trying to find such a showcase that makes almost 100 a month. Yeah, you know what? And I know my friends over at Income School, they do share their sites and stuff. So if you wanted to reverse engineer stuff to see what they're doing, I highly recommend Income School. You know what? And Alex over at WP Eagle, his sites are public too. He has sort of a different model, um, generally using WooCommerce, but still, he has his sites out there. I don't think it's as um, like content heavy, but if you combine like WooCommerce with what I teach about content and what Income School teaches about content, I think the blend is probably, really interesting. So, all right, we made it, everyone. I got to the end of the questions. We'll catch you next time, which is on Friday. Don't forget, submit questions if you have them. You can submit them anytime you want. Bookmark the form there, and I'll give you a shout out. I'll put your name in the just first names, of course. I'll put your name in the description and stuff like that. So, all right, I am out of here. And I see the last question right before I go. Natural Health says, what price range would you recommend that you promote? $100.